And happy whatever day we have today. It's not inflation day. We're going live. I hope you can all see me live. Check, check, check. Can you get me? I want to see if you can see me. Something's coming. It's going live on YouTube. Here we go. We're live on Twitter. Yeah, it should be live now, right? Yes, here we go. Okay, I hope you can see me. I don't see me, but that's because Twitter is just a bit slow, I guess. But let me see if my team can see me, who are all remote, right? So we're all working remote. And yeah, let's see. Do we see each other? No news from Rourke. So anyway, there we go. Anyway, let's kick it off. I'll be told if I need to go back, but hope you can see me. We should be live. It's using Riverside, which is then streaming directly into a couple of other platforms, and it should be telling me here what's live and if it's working. But who knows? There we go. Today is Tuesday, October 8th. What do we have this week? We have Inflation Week. So on Thursday, October 10th, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, the BLS will announce inflation. And what do we do every time this week? We share with you our insights in terms of how we can calibrate our data sets in terms of, again, the 20 million data sets that we have, and we calibrate that back to what the BLS has from our 12 categories, daily updates to monthly updates, with a very limited number of data sets and manually injected and maybe up to 6 months old. So what we try to do is just calibrate all those different categories and different data feeds and data streams into that of the BLS. And we come up with our prediction. We've been right pretty much on the money for the last couple of times. And so we're going to try and do the same again today. We share a lot of this in detail in advance to the report with our customers. And so if you're a customer, you get privileged insights and you get a report in detail in Word. Let me just share what that looks like, sort of. Here you can see this. Yeah, bang. Here we go. So you can see what we got here. This is one of the reports. And then you get another one here, which is a detailed Word report. So people can read this and get a bit more insight into this. And then for the higher end customers, the enterprise level customers, we then actually do a presentation. So you actually get to talk to the analyst, Oliver and Ivan, and then I will join the call sometimes depending and then share my views. But you get that all here on YouTube and Twitter live right now during these AMAs. So I hope you enjoy this. But yeah, look, I think that's what we'll cover off. Again, I'm Stefan Roost. I'm the founder of Laguna Labs, which is the builder behind the Truflation Stream Network, or what we now call the Truf Network. It's an app chain dedicated to bringing verified, accurate economic data to the blockchain and an application-specific blockchain. So we're definitely very tied to our own specific technology. Why? Because we can then stream the data feeds out to as many different chains as appropriate, as well as deliver it to all the different types of customers that want to consume and subscribe to the data sets. We're happy to have a couple of new customers joining in the last couple of months. Not only end users and retail customers, we still have the student package. The student package is live and active until the end of October. So if you are a student and you have an active account, you can get access to the Pro edition of Truflation for your lifetime as an active student. So sign up now and get the benefit of that. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to cover off some sort of macro sort of stuff, go through a bit of the inflation report, and then I will also share with you some of the more sort of news. We'll go into some of the partnerships and announcements that we've done at Truflation, and then sort of address some of the questions that you might have, and cover those off. Yeah, I'm just trying to source where those questions might be. Yeah, community questions right here at the end. Yeah, so where are we at? I'm going to share the report with you right now. Inflation still is a hot topic, by the way. Yes, so I got Cal State Fullerton is asking for a pro plan for students. Yes, it is active for all students. All students until the end of October, sign up. You get free access to the Truflation Pro package until the end of their active student careers. So that is active now. We call it the Back to School program. And we should add a link to the bottom of the page in our footer, which we will do. We definitely want to support students, people that are trying to use economic data and get access to it, and give them access, but also hope that they give us feedback. What other data sets should we be providing to you that can help in the discovery of new insights? Yeah, so it's September time, right? And inflation is still a hot topic, hotter than ever, thanks largely to the election, but thanks largely also to the fact that we have been experiencing an aggregate 25% increase in costs across goods that we spend our day-to-day lives on. And you can see that if you go to truflation.com, and you just go to our homepage, and then you can just go and search US aggregate inflation, and guess what? It's up at 25.98%. And you can see it's been flat pretty much since April this year. So it hasn't been increasing. It's been holding pretty steady. And so but in aggregate, we've seen a 26% cost of living increase over since January 2020. So over the last 4 years, 3.5 years, actually. No, 4 years. Actually, we're not at the end of 2024 yet. So it's about 3.75 years to be precise. But here you can see all the constituents where we've been hit hard. We don't see the aggregate view, but we will have the aggregate view on all the categories coming very soon as well. And yeah, you can just see where and how, but look at that, household and daily items, bang, huge jumps in costs. Yeah, and so we've experienced a number of different, and then here we've seen in other lodging, so hotel prices have gone up a lot. But I'll go through that here in our report. So again, this is just a quick report that we share with all of our customers. And I don't want to steal too much thunder, but stay tuned to the spaces that we have coming up on tomorrow. So if you're not joining in, Ivan will go into more detail. Ivan's on our data team. Unfortunately, some of us are going to be absent, but you go to here, sign up. This is the spaces. Check it out. Truflation Spaces. I can't send you the reminder, but we'll have a link in the YouTube channel here afterwards. So get in there, sign up. You've got Adam Taggart and Amy Dixon. Amy Dixon, expert in housing, will give a lot of insights into the housing market. And Adam Taggart, just super smart. He's in thoughtful money, right? Really about money, how to protect your wealth, how to grow your wealth, etc. So get some insights there. Sign up and you'll find more, and then Ivan will go into some of these insights. So I'm just going to give you a quick teaser in terms of what will come on that presentation. But here you can see September inflation review. Okay, we're saying here 2.4%. We're just aggregating the final numbers in, so this is pre-final number. Stay tuned tomorrow if this is still what we predict for Thursday. Remember, Thursday 8:30 a.m. Eastern is when the inflation number comes out by the BLS. And so the market consensus between 2.2 and 2.4. We are actually sort of leaning towards a 2.3, but actually 2.4 is where it bounces up to. We only do single digit because in the end, does it really matter if it's 2.3, 2.4? I mean, it does matter whether we see interest rates move, but that's what people care about. And so why are we seeing this current downward pressure? So it's down from the existing 2.5%, right? So remember, it's 2.5 according to the government, not according to Truflation. So the government is saying it's 2.5%. Truflation says it's only 1.9%, which is year-on-year cost differential. So the cost of goods today versus a year ago is up 2.5% according to the BLS. And so we're predicting actually it's going to drop. So the cost of living is continuing to come down, which is what the rising interest rates had been focused on achieving, and they are achieving that. Even with the drop in 50 basis points, it takes a while to trickle through into the economy. We're still seeing a decline, so that's still coming down. It's largely good due to goods and core, so a lot of different things coming down. Rental prices, though, we're seeing going up, but we actually are seeing the inflation pick up in Q4. So we worry that in Q4, all the indicators that we are seeing is going to push inflation up again in Q4. Why? We've seen interest rate drops, we've seen labor disputes resulting in settlements with significant salary increases. And the salary increases, while they span over a longer period of time, e.g. over 6 years, or over a 10-year span, over a 4-year span, and they can be up to 60, 40% increase over that time horizon. They're front-loaded. So in the first 2 years, a bigger chunk of increase happens, and then it sort of flattens out in the back and tail end of it. And some of these negotiations minimize the utility of automation. So we still stay labor intensive versus actually deploying high-end technology to automate and create safer work environment. At the same time, also facilitating new types of jobs that can be created as a result out of this. So I think we just need to evolve the economy versus holding it at a standstill. Yeah, and we're still seeing commodity prices go up. Oil is up at $74. If you listened on Thursday, we talked about the prices going up. Yeah, so the other thing is, growth is still strong, so the economy is still pretty resilient. Spending is up, so people are still buying, so it hasn't slowed down. Yeah, and so you can just see a lot of the aspects. And employment numbers came in very surprisingly high on Friday. So a lot of these aspects you can see. You'll go into more detail on Thursday, so I don't want to go too detailed into this. We have to evolve the labor market, as we were talking about, and as I just mentioned, right? We're seeing AI come into the market. We have to start using AI. We have to deploy robotics, and we have to train a new type of workforce to engage with these agents and with these different type of tools. We do still need human labor. We do still need different types of workloads that need to be managed and done by humans. We need to manage community. We need to manage expectations. We need all of these elements. Whilst we can have support and increase productivity, there was a report coming out that on average, worldwide, AI is going to increase productivity by about 4.5x. Now, that's basically saying that everybody is going to be deploying AI and utilizing AI. In theory, 50% of that is going to be utilizing AI. So you're actually seeing a certain group of workers that are using AI get 10x improvement in productivity gains. So that's a significant number. So we, as a labor force, we need to use these tools. If we do not use these tools, we will not be productive. And in the end, if we are not productive, how can we justify the costs that we want to claim and the demand for staff and individuals that know how to use these tools are just going to grow significantly, and the rewards are going to be going that direction. So we as a nation need to evolve and adopt and embrace these innovations and these evolutions. Where's downward pressure coming from? We're seeing it in the food sector, housing sector. Actually, that's not downward pressure. This is still a draft, so I'm sharing with you a draft. This is actually upward pressure. We're seeing food go up. We're going to see housing go up, and we're going to see clothing go up as we enter into a new season. We're going into Q4. People buy winter clothes. We need new clothes. So the clothing industry has optimized its supply chain a lot more since COVID and since the recovery from COVID and gotten down to the seasons. Those are all things that are going to go and change significantly. Stay tuned. Amy Nixon will talk about the housing. She is the brains that you want to listen to versus me, who's just backseat driving and reading draft presentations here. So stay tuned to that. Hopefully you can find out more. Downward pressure, transportation is coming down, utilities are coming down. But remember, we're going into the winter months. So utilities are, with higher oil prices, as we go into the winter months, might start driving upward pressure as well. And so take a look at that. Natural gas has already spiked a lot, so that should come down and drive and normalize things. But again, sort of for Q3 at the end of this month, we're really going to see inflation come down and drop from where it is right now. So anyway, that's really around the inflation number. But if you don't believe inflation really matters, we talked about in the past, if you paid attention, we talked about shrinkflation, same price, smaller boxes, same price, smaller content. So all of that is changing. But then also we've talked about other types of inflation. And guess what? There's a new term out there. It's called skimpflation. Who's heard of skimpflation? I thought this was brilliant. Super funny. But yeah, skimpflation basically addresses the problem of where the product stays the same. It's not shrinking, but we're skimping on elements, right? So Whole Foods had the berry chantilly cake. What's a chantilly? It's that fluffy cream that comes on top. And look at the cake now. No more fluffy cream. So we're skimping on the fluffiness and the icing on the cake, or the sugar, the cream, which is actually maybe a bit healthier, so it's a good thing. But either way, we're just trying to cut costs at any little corner to retain the margins. The margins at grocery stores, contrary to public belief, is razor thin. They pay to credit card companies 3%, 5%, 6% based on point of sales, machines and tools, based on credit card settlement fees, etc., etc. And then they have commodity prices, they have wholesalers that they need to deal with, and then they have the cost of goods. And so a large portion of the retailers are beginning to build their own brands. I mean, look at Costco with Kirkland brands and how they build out their own brands and work with the suppliers to create the best products. And in some cases, like Whole Foods, maybe they skimp back on certain elements as additives to the ingredients so that thereby they can save some costs. Milk, dairy may be going up. Actually, I met a really interesting dairy trader the other day. What does that dairy trader do? He trades futures on milk. So they bet on the price of milk going up or going down. So really interesting. Anyway, that was just an interesting article that I saw. So inflation does still matter. And you can see that. The other thing that I think a lot of people were hit on by, it was the Asian markets, right? We see Asia, China had a phenomenal, what do they call it? The bazooka, right? So they called it the bazooka, right? And so they tried to stimulate the market heavily, right? And so what did they do? They had a huge package in terms of how they would stimulate the market. They stopped sharing. You can look at me. It's not nothing to do with CNN. But what did they do? So to revitalize the economy, they injected a lot of liquidity into the market. And the first thing that they did is they reduced the reserve rates that the banks need to hold for the amount of money in deposits. And so that unlocked about, a lot of significant, I think it was in the, in the 1 trillion RMB, so about $100 billion worth of funds, right? So a significant amount of funding that was unlocked there. They then gave interest rate cuts. They supported the housing market. So if you had a housing mortgage, they would subsidize that mortgage, etc. And so that drove a huge spike in the Asian markets until the weekend. And then I guess people started to realize what that was. And so this morning, the Hang Seng Index, which is the index in Hong Kong, which captures the top. It's like it's not the S&P 500 type index. It's just basically the top stocks in Hong Kong, right? It's like, what are they? And so it lost some 10%, right? So 9% drop, which is the biggest drop that we've seen in I don't know how many. So while the China CSI skyrocketed over 10% open on Tuesday, so it all went up. It was a Golden Week holiday. It was 1st of October, which is National Day. It's like the National Day, and they have the whole week off in China because they only have 2-3 vacations a year, which is around Chinese New Year and then Golden Week, right? So these 2 times of the year, they have a whole week off. The whole nation goes and travels, sees their family, a bit like Thanksgiving. And that's what they spend their holidays in. And so a lot of them talk about investment opportunities, where to deploy their money. And so then ultimately they put money back into the market. So it was a great timing to drive it up, but ultimately it all came tumbling down again. And so, yeah, there was a significant drop in that. I used to live in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is where a lot of the treasuries for all the Chinese listed companies are sitting. Their CFO, their financial divisions are all based in Hong Kong, and they do all their stock reporting there, whilst their operations may be in China. What I thought really interesting, though, is, as a lot of you know, we've been working on indexes, right? And we have launched a couple of indexes. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting is, because of that boom in China, there was a huge spike in interest in buying and participating into Chinese stocks and into the Hang Seng Index. So Bybit, which is a crypto exchange, they enabled investors to trade global indices against USDT. So they tokenized the Hang Seng Index and a couple of indexes. So they took the China A50. So they have A shares and B shares in China. A shares is a local national shares. So you can only trade those in Shanghai. And they created a Hang Seng Index, Dow Jones Index, NASDAQ, so Nikkei. So all of a sudden, you can now trade on synthetic indexes and the price of those on Bybit, which really cool, right? When we want to see more of that, and we see a lot more of that growing. It's real world, practical TradFi indexes, thematic indexes, which, by the way, is an 800 billion AUM market in TradFi. And guess what? They're now synthetic. So I can memify the China A50 index, and I can tap into the meme culture that we have in crypto and the community behind this. And I can really build out a stronger community. Maybe I don't want to do it in the Hang Seng Index, but I want to do it in other types of aspects and other types of categories. And the asset class that they're using, or they're creating and working with a specific category. And the format of these categories is called CFDs. And what is a CFD, right? And if you think about it, CFDs are referred to as, what was a CFD? It was a contract for difference. What is a contract for difference? It is basically, you don't even have, I'm not sure why it's called contracts for difference, but if we look it up, this new feature enables users to utilize USD to trading contracts for difference on various let's have a look at what is a contract for difference actually. But the beauty is that it actually can be done. And I know that the CFDs are legal around the world, except in the US. Maybe not in Europe, but they are legal in the UK and in a lot of the English-speaking world. So outside the US. So that's interesting. And so what is contract for difference? So if you look here, an arrangement made in financial derivatives trading where the difference in the settlement between the open and closing trade prices are cash settled. So I buy it at the opening of 100. I sell it at the end of the day at 150. There's that difference. So you're just trading on that difference, and you need to settle the difference of 50 at the closing trade price, right? So when it closes. And so that still works in traditional markets where they close at the end of a day and open a day. In crypto, we don't close. So these become perpetuals. So you're just trading on the difference in value, and you have a market that buys at that value and a market that wants to sell at that value. And in some cases, I'm enabling you to go and borrow and build against that to buy in today. So I'm stimulating the market at the bottom because I can borrow. And then anybody that wants to sell, if it can gain something, I can sell at the top end to then repay my loan that I might have taken out to borrow in the past. And in the event the price goes down too low, then you have to use liquidation. So I use your collateral to then use some of that to cover the loss and be able to sell it to a market maker, a market buyer that wants to buy it at a thing, but the loss is covered with your collateral. So those are interesting new products that have emerged in crypto and are, really interesting to see those sort of financial instruments evolve and allow people to participate. The big warning to everybody, and none of this is financial advice, this is more education. So I'm trying to educate everybody on this, but just never lever too much up unless you're going to be behind your computer screen day in, day out, all the time, leveraging full and going crazy and have nothing else to focus on. You can do that maybe, but that's at a bigger risk. So the suggestion is just take a little leverage. So if it does drop significantly, you will not get liquidated. You have enough buffer in there. So make sure you have enough buffer, understand the borrowing capabilities and what the impact of that loss might be. Anyway, that was really interesting. And, the reason why I bring that up is, look, indexes do pay off, right? I talked to you about the value of the importance of indexes, right? And you can see here, just why index is important, why they're an 800 billion AUM asset class, right? This is huge. Why is it so big? It is so big because you can see right here that actually even Ray Dalio, the master investor himself, underperforms against the QQQ, right? Or even an S&P 500. Bridgewater Associates is the red line here. And then S&P 500 is up here. Up here, you're taking QQQ, which is another thematic index, is up at 18.4. Bridgewater gets an average of 4.3. So you can see that indexes and thematic indexes work. Why? They allow you to just park your money, put your money in there, and you want a part of this. But I don't know what part, and I don't know who the players are, but I want to be a part of this. And I can learn who is inside this thematic index and how can I participate in that. That's what I want to get building out. That's what I want to develop, and I want to have a part in that. And that's why we at Truflation, together with Digital Asset Solutions, are building out indexes that allow you to participate in this. One of these indexes that we built out is the AI index, and it got a lot of coverage. Look, the traditional world is beginning to pick this up. So Benzinga picked this up. Truflation launches real-time AI index. So we're super happy to be working on this, looking at how this works. We've got a whole what is in this index, And in fact, I don't even need to read this whole article, but it was covered here. We got another article. Oh, boom. It was covered in finance feeds. So all the finance world is beginning. This is how we attract a new capital into the crypto market in the token economy. That's what we want to do. And don't worry about offboarding and off ramps and all of that. We want to attract and create amazing products that will the traditional new markets and new users want to invest in crypto with. And so how do we do that? With great new products that they want to participate in. And so what is this AI index? So let's go over to Truflation and go AI index. You can search it in here. AI index, you got a picture of a brain there. I don't know, it needs to be a bit of a better brain. But yeah, look, you got a nice picture of it. How's it performed? Ups and downs, roller coaster in the last year, but you would have come from $13 to where are we today? Up to $145. That's 10x in this index alone. And let's compare that to the SPX, right? So let's go SPX, S&P. Oh man, we got to get a better search, guys. Oh man, where's the SPX? Yeah, I can't work like this. I mean, I can't demo it to you, but sorry guys. Well, let's see. How does it perform against the hedge index? Also about the same, actually. Hedge index is doing pretty well. What is the hedge index again? Have you seen the hedge index? You guys know about the hedge index: gold, silver, oil. It's SPX and Bitcoin, all in one index. So look, all of them have performed pretty well. You would be up 10x this year. So good return, interesting portfolio. But what is inside the AI index, right? So here you can see the index breakdown. We have AI, Artificial Super Alliance, right? That's the combination of Singularity, Fetch, and what was the other one? The Data Lake out there. So three of them combined together, 25% of the portfolio represents that. BitTensor, Render, and so those are the three big ones, 25% each. And then you got Akash Network, IOS Network, and Echelon Prime. So another three smaller ones. But yeah, you've now can learn who is Akash Network, what do they do? AOS Network, what are they doing? How big are they? Why are they 8.06%? And when the documentation comes live, you'll see all the detailed documentation, why those were chosen, what the breakdown is. And here you can see the individual values of each of those units. And so that's what we brought to you. That's what we're bringing. And we're going to bring you many more really cool indexes, working with some really cool companies. I don't want to share too much because we're going to share those with you. We need to get them onto DEXs. And by the way, this will be tradable very soon, and you'll see this. We're trying to do as fast as we can, but working with a lot of these decentralized exchanges, we require them to have governance approval associated with the listing on those exchanges. So we're working through that with these protocols to be able to bring this to you and enable you to participate in that. And just to give you some insights into the research that we've done into this, right? So Elton, who's been really working and bootstrapping this on the Truflation side for True Labs, super smart, and really good analyst. He's broken down the AI chipset into value chain, into the design category, the development category, the end product integration category. Then it goes into the data infrastructure. So you have software infrastructure and the data centers on the cloud and the dApps that build on top of that infrastructure. So this is going to be a very different index that we're creating associated with AI based on the demand and the coverage that we've received for the existing AI index. So I haven't shared this with you, but yeah, you can see here what this looks like. The breakdown, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories, and all the different players across this ecosystem, from chipsets, the designers of the chipsets that don't have a factory, a fab, that work with the foundries that actually assemble this stuff and build it and get it manufactured, and then actually that do the final integration for the end usage, then deployment. that then goes into the data centers that then actually build and enable the development of applications on top of that front end. So really interesting insights that you can see that we're working on at Truflation. So, and we're going to bring those as really cool indexes to you very soon. So stay tuned to that. And yeah, that's it for today. I've really got to run. I'm already 10 minutes late for my next meeting. But yeah, are there any questions? Whoa, a whole bunch of questions came in. Okay, Tim to Kill. What's going on with the token? Liquidity is still gone and sentiment seems to be all the time low. Yeah, so sorry on that. Yeah, you know, Tim the Broton. No, there is still liquidity. So there is liquidity on centralized exchanges. So go to KuCoin, Maxi, Bitstamp, and Gate. You will be able to trade the Truflation token, the Truth token on there. We're announcing something very soon around this. We're busy. The team's busy. I've got a stealth SWAT team working on all of that, as well as some of the best security experts covering all of that. And as I mentioned, I will announce something associated with that when we're ready to announce, right? And yeah, so we're working on that. And you can still trade it. There is liquidity on those centralized exchanges. So please, you know, go and use KuCoin, Maxi, Gate, and Bitstamp for trading those tokens, the Truth tokens. Yeah, so here the Truflation AI Index is a valuable tool for the financial sector. At Toom.io, decentralized infrastructure can support the development of similar AI-powered tools. Awesome. Well, let's see if we can work something together. Toom.io, happy to talk to you. Amy Nixon, short-term no. Texas Runner DFW. Okay, here we go. Short-term no, long-term maybe. I'm not sure what that was referring to. That might have been during a segment on the show. And I'm sorry, I just talked about too much. Stay tuned. Please listen in tomorrow. Amy Nixon will give you her direct feedback and you'll be able to hear it. And you can question her directly live on the spaces, moderated by our team and in conjunction with Adam Taggart, also going to be there and tell you and help you how to invest. Sunbright Skills, I can't believe such high percentage say no. Guys, if one country has massive tariffs and the other doesn't, it destroys trade. If you match their tariffs, guess what happens? Then suddenly want to negotiate and bring down tariffs if negotiation tool is not an end goal. Yeah, tariffs is, look, my view and our view is that trade facilitates communication. Communication is what keeps us and brings us closer together. So what we need to do is facilitate and simplify and accelerate the communication. And by doing so, we have to facilitate trade. And if the trade is unfair, then we should equalize that and create that equilibrium and enable fair trade. And if that requires tariffs to balance out the trade and create fairness in trading, then so be it. But that shouldn't be the case. It should be as free as possible. And sometimes, yeah, some people are just acting bad. Some people just dump their product into the market. They've got oversupply. They don't know what to do with it. They want to dump it into the market. Sometimes people have strategic goals in terms of trying to reduce the cost on one product to elevate it in another area, or to win market share and destroy other manufacturers so that they can win the market share because they have a big cash pile. There are a whole bunch of different strategies, but if we communicate around that and we engage in those tactics and in those conversations, at least we're finding out what the reasons are behind that, and then we can negotiate and we can find a quid pro quo, right? It's always an exchange of goods and services against financial assets, right? So it could be crypto, it could be fiat, it could be whatever, but that's what the trade is about. So how do we find that balancing act and balance that across a whole economy is obviously slightly different and more difficult than other capabilities. We are launching a tariff poll just to see what people think about tariffs, if they're good for an economy or not. But you can follow that on go to Truflation on Twitter. See the poll and fill it in. Libertarian Party of Connecticut, LPOFCT. If tariffs replace other forms of taxation, it's better than the current regime, particularly if spending is dramatically reduced. Yeah, look, yeah, as a libertarian, I would have thought that you want as little involvement in as possible or as necessary. But yeah, look, I think, like I mentioned, it's all about fairness and how do you find the fairness. If it's an unfair battlefield, then ultimately I think it is justified to put tariffs in there. But ultimately, how do we facilitate more trade? How do we facilitate more communication? Because that brings us closer and to an increased understanding of the counterparty. And that's what we want to achieve. And that's what we want to get to. Fair tax official. Would less economical? Oh yeah, look, tariffs. Look, a lot around tariffs. Tariffs are maybe inflationary market distortion, right? Effectively tax on consumers because you raise the prices and you're artificially having higher prices than actually is the rest of the world is experiencing. Do you want that? I don't know. But there is always a balance between hitting economies of scale. If you can build capacity and you can then dictate scale in terms of unit costs, bringing them down. So instead of buying 10 items at $1, you can buy 1,000 items at 50 cents. That brings down the unit cost significantly. Why? Because you're buying bulk. And if anybody knows that generally people like to sell to wholesalers. Why? Because I can sell bigger amounts at a discount and I can sell it in one go with less effort. So those are all things that are coming out. So go to Truflation, fill out the survey. We have a poll going on live right now. Yeah, that's pretty much covering it. So please go to Truflation.com, listen to our spaces tomorrow and on Twitter or on X, sorry. And yeah, and then listen and stay tuned to what the BLS says. We're going to have another spaces on Friday together with Sphinx, our partner that we talked about in terms of perpetual energy trading for synthetic assets. That's going to be super exciting. And I'm really happy on that partnership. The team over there, Austin and Greg, amazing entrepreneurs, true hustlers, as well as the broader team there backing and behind them, right? It's always one or two people that I make contact with on a regular basis, but there's a whole team back there that are really from the domain. They really understand the energy industry. They really understand the commodity trading industry. And so it's really cool. And then we'll have another announcement coming out really soon as well. So stay tuned for that. We're doubling down on this and we're really going to go hard and we're going to come out of this really strong and super exciting. So stay tuned. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. Smash the likes, subscribe, But I got to go. I'm really effing late. So thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this and have a good day. I will see you Thursday, same time, same place. So stay tuned. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.